50-year-old Eddie Frazier of Crookston, formerly of Minneapolis, pled guilty Monday morning to murder in the second-degree intentional murder in Polk County District Court. Frazier pled under the Alford plea related to the intentional aspect of his second-degree murder charge, where the defendant does not admit guilt but believes he would be found guilty by a jury. As part of his plea agreement, all other counts, including the possibility of life without parole, are dismissed. Frazier was presented with a synopsis of the evidence against him and agreed the evidence was likely to result in a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt of at least the second-degree intentional murder charge. On May 3, 2017, Frazier strangled Tanya Wallace in her apartment at 104 Broadway in Crookston in the early morning hours of May 3rd. Frazier accompanied Wallace to the Riverview emergency room. Several hours later, Polk County Dispatch received a 911 call, which was cut off before the caller could identify themselves. Witnesses were set to testify that the caller's voice was that of Wallace. Polk County Dispatch later received a call from a male identifying himself as James Moore, stating his grandfather had dialed 911. The caller could be identified as Frazier. According to court documents and a summary of evidence at Frazier's guilty plea, Crookston police officers went to Wallace's residence early in the morning of May 3rd and knocked on the door, receiving no answer. The report states they could hear music coming from the apartment, and it sounded like heavy objects were being moved. There also appeared to be something shoved under the door so they couldn't see in. Officers later returned and discovered Wallace in a bathtub. The autopsy showed Wallace's death to be by strangulation and that her body was staged floating face down in the water. A statewide manhunt for Frazier followed a warrant for his arrest and unfolded the night of May 3rd in Bloomington when Frazier was involved in a standoff. Frazier was shot in the arm by a special agent with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and fled in Wallace's car. He later abandoned the car and was arrested about 6 hours later. The plea agreement calls for Frazier to serve 429 months. That's 35 years and 9 months. The sentencing hearing will be April 26th at 1 p.m. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for KROXAM.com.